What's going on, everybody? Jose RPNs, Derecho para mis sueños, heavy steel and hot rods. Today I want to talk about fabrication welding shops. You know, if you guys are looking to get in the welding industry or just looking to be in the industrial industry, construction industry, that sort of thing, and don't really want to be traveling, don't want to be leaving home, but still want to look for a pretty consistent job, good paying job, I would really consider fabricating in a welding shop. You know, there's various different jobs in these fabrication shops, so I'm gonna go ahead and start just kind of at the beginning. I'm gonna stay away from the office personnel right now. I'm really just gonna be talking about the guys in the shop, just because that's where I started out. I did end up in the office later on, but I started off in the shop, so I just want to kind of touch base on those things at first. So in these fabrication shops, it's not that hard to get a job. If you don't know how to find a fabrication shop, I would say just walk around or drive around your town, excuse me. You could drive around your town and you could go and see if anybody offers welding jobs, hiring welders, things like that, hiring mechanics, things like that, hiring forklift drivers. If not, go ahead and get on Google, look for welding shops near me or fabrication shops near me. Those will directly link you up with what kind of shops I'm talking about. So you can go ahead and just walk inside, ask them if they're hiring, fill in an application. But if you're gonna go to be a welder, they might give you an on-site welding test right then and there. It's usually happened to me. So I usually walked in, done my paperwork. I talked to like a project manager or a shop manager of some sort, and he would actually let me talk to the shop foreman. That guy would usually give me some sort of welding test, whether it be a butt weld, fillet weld, it's MIG, flux core, TIG, stick. I've done it all. So it just depends on what type of welding you're doing and what type of shop you're going to go to. They might want to weld test you there, so go prepared. You know, you might need a chipping hammer, brush. You might need to have your, your gloves, your welding shirt, your overshirt, or your sleeves. You might want to have your hard hat, halo with the welding hood. You might want to have a halo without it, just in case. Doesn't matter. All sorts of things like that, things of welding nature, just to be ready, because they might want to test you. That way, if you get tested, you might just get a job right then and there. Let me backtrail it really quick. Before this, you have, I guess, where the material would be coming in. So there's truck drivers. You need people to be truck drivers actually picking up these loads of steel. So you could go look for a logistics company and actually be picking up the steel and going from the field or to shop, from wholesaler to the shop that's going to fabricate, from fabrication shop out to the field. So, and then I would be a material handler, which I would call like a guy that's offloading the trucks, using an overhead crane, using these forklift drivers, things of that sort. Those are very, very needed, and they're a huge necessity in these shops, because whether or not you're offloading the steel that barely got to the shop, or you're bringing it, when it's been accounted for and they've signed it off that it's been delivered, and bringing it to maybe the plasma cutter or the guys that are going to cut it down, maybe using a torch or a plasma cutter, a handheld plasma cutter. You can go ahead and you need those guys in the forklifts or the overhead cranes moving those things to them, and then from the fitters to the welders, from the welders to the cleanup station to the paint station, and then inevitably you have inspection inside of there as well, and then loading it back onto another truck, getting it out into the field. So those guys are needed throughout the whole process of moving materials. Forklift drivers, guys using overhead cranes and things of that nature, they're all needed. Material handlers, very needed. Even guys out there just moving dunnage and finding pieces out in the field, out in the yard, are very, very needed. They're a big, big necessity. So on from them, I will go, I guess, into like the plasma cutting station, which a lot of the time it is the same fitters, a lot of times it's not. A lot of times there's guys just called cutters that have an assortment of grinders. They have a handheld plasma cutter. They got a CNC plasma cutting table right in front of them. They got a torch right there, and they're able to cut all the steel down to the desired lengths on the plans. So they'll go ahead and do that, and then from those guys, those cutters, which I say that's a whole other job in itself, because those guys know which procedure to use, whether or not they get a slab of steel, they know, well, we can use a plasma cutter to cut this fast, or it might be best to use a torch or just grind it off using a Metabo blade. Whatever it may be, those guys know it, and that's their job. That is what they do. They get everything prepped out, getting ready for the fitting station. The fitting station is where the fitters are. Those guys are masters of their crafts in their own, man. They got fingers. They can tell you what's flush and what's not. They're killers, man. They're badass guys. Those guys are very needed, because they're the ones that get raw material and actually construct it into the piece of product that we need, whether it be a maxi form, whether it be a beam that needs holes in it, or a column that needs a base plate, whatever it may be. These fitters are the ones that are marking everything out, getting it centered, actually pulling measurements, and actually putting the things together and just temporarily tacking them, really. And then in the long run, it'll go over from fitting, from where the guys have constructed something. So let's say you have an I-beam that needs a couple holes on there. Let's say you have a column that needs a base plate with a couple holes and a flag plate on top. These are the guys that are marking everything out, getting everything marked and cut with the cutters and fit together to construct it. And then from this station over to the welders, and from the welders, these guys receive the product and then they weld it according to the plan. So the plans are going to tell you exactly the width, the girth of the weld that you need, and the length of the weld, and actually designated areas where the weld goes, whether it has gussets and whether it's just welded, fillet weld, butt weld, whatever it may be. That's going to be put on there, where the welders are going to be actually doing all the welding, make sure it's nice and structurally sound. And then from there, it usually has an inspection. From the inspection, if you pass inspection, if not, it'll go back to the welder, get the sufficient weld that it calls for. If it passes inspection, it'll probably go to the cleanup guys, the grinding station. That's where the sandblasters are. That's where the guys with all the tiger paws and all the grinding rocks are at, making sure that everything is real nice and rounded off, no sharp edges from the CNC machine or from the plasma cutters. So these guys are going to be the ones cleaning up everything, making sure that it is ready to go. And once it's ready to go, after it's been inspected, welded, fit all together, it's going to go ahead and go to painting. It's going to go and get primed and painted. And once it's primed and painted, it'll actually usually just get like a tag or some sort of number written on it, a piece number, and then it'll go into the yard and sit for a while. And then those same material handlers will come back again and load it up onto a truck and either take it to the client who purchased the thing or take it out into the field so the iron workers like me can go ahead and set them up. So like I was saying last time, like these jobs in the fabrication industry are very, very important, whether or not you're going to be a material handler, whether or not you're going to be a welder, or you're going to be a fitter, or you're going to be a cutting guy, or you're going to be an inspector. You know, there's pressure testing guys, there's a whole bunch of different things depending on where you're going to go work at. So I just want you guys to keep an open mind if you guys are looking for a new job, or you guys are looking to look into a new industry, you know, and don't want to travel that much, still want to make good money, still want to make good hours. You know, a lot of these shops, they offer pension plans, 401k plans, you know, and good hourly rates. If you work really hard and show that you're that guy, you'll probably be making the overtime, you know, come Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, you'll be the guy they call in to make that overtime time and a half. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead, like I said, and get on Google, look up fabrication shop welding jobs and see if you can find one, man. If you guys want to get into the welding industry, I would look up welding. You know, there's TIG, there's flux core, there's MIG, which is hard wire, and there's stick. You know, stick is usually used down the field, but there's still some shops that use it right now, and it's not a bad thing to know how to use. So if you want to go to a welding school and like I did, 10-month course and learn a combination welding, I learned everything there and was able to kind of pick and choose my jobs, and I've kind of done a little bit of everything. Or if you want to go ahead and just go to a shop and maybe pick up as a helper and just learn what they specialize in right there and then move your way up. Whatever you want to do, is not about where you're at, it's about where you're willing to go and how you're willing to get there. So just put a good effort in there, keep your head held high, make sure that you're being grateful for where you're at and enjoying every moment, and you shouldn't fail, man. You know, it's all a part of the process. So if you guys are looking it up, welding shops, go ahead and look it up. You know, there's material handlers, there's fitters, there's welders, there's the grinding guys, there's the cutters, there's the inspectors, there's the painters, there's the lead men, there's the foremans, there's the project managers. There's a whole lot of stuff in there, just depending on where you want to go work at. So hopefully this reaches somebody good, a little bit of food for thought. Jose RPMs, Retro para mis sueños, heavy steel and hot rods. You know, we do mostly ironworking. We fabricate our own steel for these little projects that we do, Panda Expresses and things of that nature. But if y'all guys got anything to ask me or you got any comments, go ahead and leave them down below. Never be afraid to answer anybody's questions or, you know, shoot the shit with anybody. If you guys like this video, go ahead and thumbs up, comment down below, share the video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to go ahead and subscribe, it helps out the channel. So I appreciate everybody, and I'll catch you on the next one. Later.